presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, what do you know? We have a little sunshine after all in the Buckeye State. It's been cold and nasty for the better part of a week and a half. It is beautiful along the lakefront tonight. We're at Progressive Field, the first of 4-2 here in Cleveland between the Reds and the Indians. Hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. Tom Brenneman here in Cleveland, Ohio. Delighted to have you with us for Reds baseball. A mighty good day yesterday. The Reds on offense flexing their muscles.
Yeah, they did. They were really getting some hits yesterday, Tom. And it was a long time coming, too, because they weren't able to do a whole lot against the Phillies the first few days in that series. But Eugenio Suarez has made a couple of adjustments to his swing. He's now going out, getting that ball, putting the bat head on it, hit a home run in center field yesterday. 3 for 6 with that home run. He was really struggling for a while, but a young player like Suarez will be up and down, and when he gets hot, he can really carry a ball club. Jay Bruce, again, we getting on base every time he came to the plate yesterday. I mean, it was fun to watch. He was dinking them in there. He was hitting them hard. He was collecting walks. It didn't matter. He had a busy day yesterday and was mighty tired after that ball game.
And you know the guy who's really played well of late is this fella.
You know what? I think he's etching out his name into the lineup card on an everyday basis, maybe for a long time. You know, the Reds have been looking for a left fielder to step up and get the job done offensively. He's more than adequate in the field defensively, and he's got some power. So he's that kind of that second right-handed thumper that you have down the lineup, maybe an enforcer that you really think about because he's a threat when he comes to the plate.
Let's talk about the pitching matchup tonight. We believe in Cody Anderson. The Indians do. He's not lived up to it so far.
Well, this is NorCal versus SoCal tonight. Northern California's Cody Anderson. He's a big guy, 6 feet 4 inches, about 250 pounds. He's had a rough go of it. He throws very hard, about 95 miles an hour, but straight over the top. Left-handers are wearing him out right now. So we'll see if the lefties on the Reds can't do the same here tonight against Anderson. John Lamb, on the other hand, when he takes them out tonight, you know what's made him effective is the fact that he throws his breaking stuff below hitting speed. So when he flips that little curveball in there or that changeup, the hitters are so far out ahead of it, they've not been able to make the adjustment. He's not overpowering the fastball, coming back from a little hand injury when he got jammed at the plate about a week ago. And I'm expecting pretty good things out of Lamb tonight.
You know, the one area where the Indians have struggled, really struggled so far, is on offense, and they need this guy to get it going.
Well, they do. I mean, he's their young, bright spot. Francisco Lindor, we've been hearing about him for years and years, and he's been the #1 guy in the organization for a long time. Batting right in the middle of the lineup right now, 299 batting average. With Michael Brantley on the disabled list, they need more than Lindor to step up, but he's the one guy to take a look at.
When we come back, who's better against the Indians than the one-time Indian? Brandon Phillips. Oh, and his counterpart's not too shabby either. Jim Day has that and more when we come back on Fox Sports Ohio.
way north to the North Coast. Reds and Indians, Battle of Ohio Part 1. 2 here in Cleveland, followed by 2 in the Natty starting on Wednesday night. I'm Jim Day. Brandon Phillips coming over from the Cleveland Indians, one of the greatest trades in Reds history, and boy does he like to face his former team. Let's check out our IGS bringing the energy, and boy does Brandon bring it when he faces the Tribe. 51 games in his career since that trade, 347 average, 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, 41 runs scored. That is the highest average, that 347, versus any other team he faces. The guy on the other side playing second base isn't shabby either, especially against the Reds. Last 2 seasons versus Cincinnati in 10 games. How about a 436 average, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. That's the 3rd highest average of any player versus the Reds. Minimum 40 plate appearances. So at second base, they'll be swinging the bat tonight. Reds and Indians on the other side. There's the Ohio Cup. It's on the line this week. Tom Brenneman and Chris Wells standing by with the call on Fox Sports Ohio. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Progressive Field in Cleveland. Battle of Ohio Part 1. Zach Cozart set the lead off as we bring in the man that will call the game, Tom Brenneman.
All righty, Jimbo, here we go. Reds and the Indians in the first of 2 here in Cleveland. Cozart settles in, looks at a strike from Cody Anderson, and this one underway. Indians come in 17 up, 17 down. Second place behind the front-running White Sox in the American League Central. And the Reds come up 15 wins, 22 losses. A half game behind Milwaukee for 4th in the NL Central. Cozart, a .321 batter, 4 home runs, 15 batted in, and he is gone on a pitch up and away. 3 pitches and a strikeout for Cody Anderson.
You don't have to wait very long for the ball to get to the plate when Cody Anderson throws it. He's a big guy. He throws very hard. He averages a little over 95 miles an hour on his fastball. It's a 4-seamer, and he just pretty much comes right after you.
So one away in the inning, and here comes a Eugenio Suarez. Anderson is the only member of the Indians starting rotation yet to notch a win this year, and it's a very good rotation.
Well, they consider that the strength of their ball club, and right now they're looking for runs. Obviously, Cody Anderson has been a starter really throughout his entire minor league career. Came up last year, made his debut in June, and pitched 7 2/3 innings of shutout baseball. They're very high on him down the road. He's still only a young guy.
They overplay the shift on Suarez, who's coming off a brilliant game yesterday. And he had been in a bit of a funk going into that Philadelphia series. He had an 0 for 15 stretch, 1 for 22 stretch, and then a breakout day along with some of his mates in the win over the Phillies yesterday. Right at the third baseman, Uribe, 2 down. The Reds lineup reads as follows. You've seen Cozart and Suarez. Now it's Votto. Phillips in a cleanup spot. Bruce in right. Duvall in left. Peraza the nod in center. Billy Hamilton was activated from the bereavement list before the game. Pacheco the DH. Cabrera starts behind the plate. Joey did not have a hit in the 3-game series in Philadelphia. Went 0 for 10. And Chris, he is one frustrated Cincinnati Red right now.
Well, he is, Tom, and really the frustration is due to the fact that the pitchers are pitching him a way that he's not been able to make the adjustment. I mean, they're pounding him inside, at least the Philadelphia Phillies did. And Votto with his swing, I mean, he really wants to hit the ball the other way, use the entire field, and he's got power enough to hit the ball the other way and out of the ballpark. But that's tough when that pitcher can thread that needle on the inner part of the plate.
3-0.
Of course, the pitchers that the Phillies threw at them the first couple of days were not overpowering hard throwers. Jeremy Hellickson, Aaron Nola, those guys that specialize more in changeups and off-speed pitches, and I think that also gave Votto some trouble.
A 4-pitch walk to Votto, and Brandon Phillips will bat with a man aboard and 2 outs in the first. We look at the Indians defensively, presented by Floyd. Ramirez, Davis, Bird, the former Red, left, center, and right. Uribe, Lindor, Kipnis, and Napoli, third to first, and Yan Gomes hanging aside. Phillips 6 home runs, 18 runs batted in his 51 games against his one-time team, the Indians. Nearly a .350 batter. First pitch swinging in the air to deep left, and it's up against the wall, and this will bring in a run. Votto will score on a first pitch double by Brandon. 1-0 here in the opening inning.
Well, we said it in the pregame, Tom, and they noted it in Reds Live that the damage that Brandon Phillips is able to do against the Indians, his old team, is just uncanny. And he didn't wait long at all. He got the first pitch that he saw on the inner part of the plate. I mean, that's the wrong place to pitch Brandon Phillips. It sounded kind of soft coming off the bat, but it carried a long way. Ramirez, the left fielder, unable to snag it, and it goes for a double. And with Joey Votto really running as that ball was being struck, an easy run for the Reds.
Well, now looking for more than that. With Phillips in scoring position, here's Jay Bruce coming off a game in which he reached base safely all 5 plate appearances. Ball 1.
Reminds me really of what old pitching coach used to say. You know, 2-out walks don't bother you unless they're followed by a 2-out double. In other words, don't walk anybody with 2 outs, right?
Don't ever walk anybody. Lord knows we've seen a lot of that this year. That old adage about walks will haunt. And hurting Anderson here in the first after the double by Brandon. 1-1 to Jay Bruce. Team best 23 runs batted in for Jay, 6 home runs, 15 extra base hits. and very good with runners in scoring position. One and two on Bruce. Brandon running.
Why?
Now in a rundown. And they will finally tag him out.
Yeah, he tried to grab the fielder without the ball indoors. He went by to maybe get an obstruction call, but it did not work.
Reds get a run on a 2-out double by Phillips and lead 1-0. Lamb takes a mound when we return. In downtown Cleveland, the Reds jump out in front 1-0. Let's take a look at Terry Francona's starting lineup tonight. Rajai Davis in center, Kipnis the second baseman, Lindor the shortstop, Napoli the cleanup hitter, Santana the designated hitter, Yan Gomes catching, a latter third of Ramirez Bird, and Uribe making his third start of the year for the Reds. Began the year on the DL, injured his pitching left thumb his last start. That's going back to the 8th of the month. So here we are, Chris, 8 days later, and back on the hill is John Lamb.
Well, the Reds have not won either of the previous starts by Lamb, but that's really not his problem or his fault.
Davis a base hit.
Only given up one run in each of his previous outings, and he gives up a line drive to start it off right there. Tight earned run average, just not walking too many. He'll be pitching out of the stretch here to start this bottom of the first inning. Lamb will pitch from the very third base side of the pitching rubber, and I think he does that. It gives him a little better angle to pitch right-handers away, especially with a changeup that'll most of the time move away from right-handers.
Here's Kipnis. He's been an outstanding player ever since coming up through the organization after being drafted from the University of Arizona. Kipnis grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Glenbrook North High School. Originally started his college career at the University of Kentucky before transferring out west to Arizona. Davis 8 steals in 11 attempts. Ball one to Kipnis. Kipnis missed a lot of time due to injury last season. And they really need him to get healthy, stay healthy this year. And of course, they had Michael Brantley started the year, came back recently. Many believe they hurried along his progress from shoulder surgery, and over the weekend was just placed on the DL for a second time.
Now, anybody who's ever had shoulder surgery can tell you that it's not an easy or quick process coming back, much less trying to come back and be a Major League Baseball player.
And Brantley is their best player.
No doubt. And he was getting off to a really not very good start. I think he was hitting in the 230s. His power had been sapped. So he was just a shell of what he has shown previously, and he's certainly a perennial all-star. Big lead down there, and that's why John Lamb continues to throw over. Rajay Davis, you know, the Indians are starting some of the guys that they expected to be mostly bench players. Like Davis is 35 years old. Marlon Byrd, 38 years old. Juan Uribe, 37 years old.
Playable left side of the infield. It will be Kozite for the first out. The Reds on defense, presented by Ford, look this way. Peraza gets a nod in center, his second start since being brought up, flanked by Duvall and Bruce. Regular infield, Suarez, Kozite, Phillips, Votto, and Cabrera, a rare start, just his third. A bit of a surprise, I think, to some yesterday that Peraza was not in the lineup, that series finale, with Kozite not being in the lineup.
Well, it's kind of interesting, really, because what I heard in spring training was that they didn't feel that Peraza was going to be the shortstop of the future after Kozart, whenever he may move on. He's only 30 years old. They like him better at second base, and he can play center field, but he's playing every day down in AAA at shortstop. And then he did play 6 games as a center fielder, Peraza did. So he obviously can move around the infield a little bit. Maybe they just didn't want to put him at shortstop yesterday. I don't know.
And there's a strike to Lindor. 299 batter, 2 home runs, 14 batted in.
Well, he's having a stellar season. He's only 22 years old. We've heard about him for so many years as the best player in the Indians organization.
Lindor was born in Puerto Rico, but he went to high school in Florida. He was the 8th overall pick in the 2011 draft. Went into last year as their #1 prospect. They were struggling early in the year. Brought him up, sent him down, brought him up again, struggled for a month or so, but over the second half of the year, he was the best rookie in all of Major League Baseball. They'll take the force out at second base. So Lindor at first with 2 away, and Napoli on his way to the plate. Chris, you got to look at Lamb last year. All of us did for a number of starts after he was brought to the major leagues for the very first time. And remember, Lamb came along with Cody Reed in the Johnny Cueto deal and Brandon Finnegan. What are your overall impressions in looking into this guy's future?
I really like Lamb, and I'll tell you why. Not because he's got an overpowering fastball, but his fastball does get a lot of swings and misses, even though it's only 91 miles an hour. I like his breaking stuff and the separation between the speed between his fastest pitch and his slowest pitch. He'll throw pitches tonight in the 60s. I mean, he's got a really slow curveball. He's got a very effective changeup that he throws in the mid-70s. So you're talking about a huge speed range that hitters have to adjust to, and that's the biggest thing about pitching is you're upsetting the hitting timing, and he does it very well. I think for Lamb, it's a matter of, you know, getting in shape, getting stronger, and staying that way.
Let's good morning, good afternoon, and good night to Mr. Napoli. A leadoff single, no damage. End of 1. Reds lead by a run.
Storylines for tonight. Battle of Ohio fairly even. Indians 5 up. And the home teams have dominated of late. The Indians winning 13 of 14 here at Progressive Field. And the Reds have won 9 of the last 11 at GABP. So the Reds trying to cut into that Progressive Field advantage tonight.
You're right about that, Jimbo. The Reds have won or tied 10 of the last 18 Ohio Cup season series, including 7 of the last 10, but the Tribe got them last year. Indians finished last year a game over 500 overall on the season.
Well, they haven't fared so well so far this year in interleague play. They played the Mets and they played the Philadelphia Phillies. They took 1 of 3 from the Mets and they were swept by the Phillies. So they're looking at 1-5 right now against the National League.
Those are 2 pretty good starting teams so far this year.
Yeah, you're right. And if any of them were close games, you knew they went the Phillies' way. Of course, the Indians will shift on Jay Bruce like so many teams will.
And he hits it right at Napoli for out number 1 to begin the 2nd inning.
The Indians this year, you know, I guess they're exactly average. I mean, they're just average in a lot of different ways, but they have never been more than 2 games above 500. They've never been more than 2 games below 500. They're right exactly at 500 right now. And if you ask Terry Francona, he'd say, well, they've got an average manager. What do you expect? Because he'll poke fun at himself as much as anybody. But he's had a pretty good managing career. Obviously, when you take the Red Sox to the World Series.
Win it twice.
And that will be his calling card for a long time.
Oh, yeah. I know my dad is back on the home front watching the game tonight, and apparently Terry Francona was calling out for one Martin Brenneman, wondering why in the world he's not here.
You're right.
He was not happy about it. And I'm sure he'll be leaving Dad you a message on the telephone later tonight. Here's Duvall. That ball is clubbed into deep left field. Backing up on it at the wall. Ramirez, goodbye. The hot hitting of Duvall continues. That's his 7th home run. It's 2-0.
I got to figure that Cody Anderson is furious right now. And I'm not sure whether it's going to be at the scouting report that was given about Adam Duvall or maybe the pitch selection. But he threw that ball exactly where Yan Gomes wanted it. A high fastball out of the zone. And what does Duvall do? He tomahawks that baby. I mean, that ball is up and out of the zone. That's almost a perfect spot if you're going up the ladder. And he just launches that baby right out of here.
Diving attempt by Lindor. He comes up short of the base hit by Jose Peraza, his 2nd and 6th at bat since being brought up from Louisville. Boy, how could you not be impressed, Chris, with watching this young man as we did in Arizona?
Even if you don't know a lot about baseball and you watch Peraza play, what will really sink into you in a hurry is how smooth he is in everything he does. He swings smooth, he runs smooth, he throws smooth. That's the kind of thing you just can't teach.
The designated hitter tonight is Jordan Pacheco. 7 hits and 35 at bats. Runner goes and a ground ball down to 3rd. They'll stay out of the double play. 2 down in the inning. So batting in the number 9 spot and on his way to the plate is catcher Ramon Cabrera.
If you believe in speed, then you got to be anxious for the time in which you will see Billy Hamilton and Jose Peraza in the lineup, maybe in back-to-back slots in the batting order. Because Peraza is one of the fastest runners in baseball. I mean, he'll get down the line at 4.06, 4.07 from the right side, which is very fast. Of course, Billy Hamilton, when he's batting left-handed, I don't think anybody gets down the line faster than he does.
Nice to have Billy back. It's a very sad story. Losing an infant family member in an automobile accident, and certainly our thoughts and prayers to his entire family. Very, very sad. Jim Day will have more on that when we come back for the bottom half of the second inning. Billy with a heavy heart. Foul out of play. It remains 0-2 on Cabrera. Now, Chris, I know you don't see the Indians. We don't see the Indians. But how can a guy like Anderson go from so good last September? I mean, this guy was the American League Pitcher of the Month in September to an ERA of over 7 through the first month and a half of this year. This is down the right field line, foul ball.
Well, some people say that last year, Tom, when he had that terrific month in the month of September, he benefited from some of the teams that he played against. Your second division teams, he faced a couple of times the Detroit Tigers. I think he faced also the White Sox, and they weren't having very good years. But still, I mean, he's got a terrific arm. I mean, he was throwing 92 miles an hour, 93 last year. He came into camp this year throwing 95 to 97 miles an hour. That's why he nailed down the 5th spot in the rotation. And from what I can tell and what I've heard, left-handers have hit him well. His fastball is very straight. His changeup is his second pitch. It's just not quite there to get hitters off of it. You know, once they get the book on you, you've got to get better.
Popped up, should end the inning. The third baseman, Uribe, the call and the catch. The Reds have scored for a second straight inning. The long ball by Duvall. 2-0. Redlegs in front.
Treatment list after tending to his family in Mississippi, after the tragic loss of his 3-year-old nephew in a car accident. He's still hurting very, very much, wants to salute his young man, as he says, but he also realized while he was away from baseball and while he's hurting that he indeed needs his baseball friends and his baseball family to lean on.
Get my mind off and everything. Like I said, this is where he want me to be at, playing every day. And like I said, he watches me every day, and so I'm pretty sure he's watching me now up high and everything. But like I said, this is my happy place. This is where I feel comfortable being around people because, like I said, these guys are nothing but have my back. They got calls and texts all weekend, and guys send flowers, guys send everything, you know. So it's just it's special to be back with these guys, and like I said, they show me a lot of support. So.
And Brian Price said he just wanted to give him a day to get reacclimated, take batting practice since he was away from the game. He's available to play tonight in a late inning situation. He says he will be back in the starting lineup tomorrow.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. We begin the bottom of the second inning, and a 3-0 pitch that Carlos Santana thought was low, ball 4, is called a strike by Paul Emmel, the home plate umpire. 3-1, Reds lead 2-0. Run scoring double by Brandon Phillips in the first, solo home run by Duvall in the second. There's ball 4. Obviously, you look up and down this Cleveland batting order, and you see a lot of guys with batting averages 210, 230, 220, 170, 230. It's a team that collectively, by and large, has really struggled on offense.
Where they've really struggled on offense, Tom, they haven't struggled so far tonight, and that's leading off an inning. The batting average of all the teams in Major League Baseball are the lowest for the Indians when leading off an inning. They're batting 195 as a team. Their on-base percentage is not a whole lot better than that. They're just about the bottom of the ranks there at a 251 on-base percentage, although they've had the leadoff hitter on both innings.
Here's a guy really scuffling. Gomes at 167.
You know, his high water mark was in 2013. He hit 294 that year, 11 home runs. Next year he hit 21 home runs, and they thought that they really had something in the making here. He's an incredibly strong young man. But he hit 231 last year, and it's really dropped off the table this year.
Well, he homered in games here on Friday and Saturday night, and they thought, well, maybe this will get him going, but then they're hoping for a lot more than that. Well, jam shot flare. Bruce got a nice jump on it, runs it down for the first out of the inning. .23-year-old Jose Ramirez, native Dominican, on his way to the plate. He's been up and down the better part of the last 3 years for the Indians. Really struggled offensively last year.
I mean, how many 23-year-old utility fielders do you see in the major leagues?
Not
I mean,
many.
it's usually a spot reserved for the guy that's already played every day for 10 years and he doesn't want to retire, so he can play a couple of times a week, and that's a spot for him, like a Juan Uribe. But Jose Ramirez is exactly that. In fact, they're trying to use him the way that Tampa Bay and then the Cubs have used Ben Zobrist. As kind of a super utility player. Plays a little infield, plays a little outfield. They have him listed as a second baseman, but he's in left field tonight.
Well, with the bat, he has been off to an outstanding start, although this should be 2 to end the inning here, and it is. So a leadoff walk, no trouble after that for Lamb. End of 2. Reds 2, Indians nothing.
Saturdays this season at the ballpark for as low as $12. This Saturday, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Ken Griffey Jr. dual bobblehead thanks to St. Elizabeth Healthcare. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com.
Top of the order here in the third inning for the Reds. They scored single runs in each of the first two. A two-out walk to Votto in the first, who scored on a double by Brandon. And then a one-out solo home run from Duvall in the second. Cozart struck out his first time up. 2-0. Well, here we are, a little more than the midway point of May, and certainly questions more than answered about Cozart being able to come back from that devastating knee injury last year. Third best batting average among all National League shortstops. Second most doubles, fourth most homers, fourth most extra base hits. Slugging percentage fourth best. He's been very good. And you got to remember that, you know, if you probably had to put a scale on it, is that when a shot into right field, a base hit by Cozart? You know, Chris, he's probably still not playing at 100%. Some of that tendonitis still creeping in that knee.
Well, he can't play every day. I mean, so they've been careful about being able to give him some time off to make sure that that knee doesn't start barking too much. But the reason he's so much better this year offensively is you just saw it in a nutshell right there with that bat, that swing to right field. I mean, when he was going bad last year, it wasn't so bad. But in 2014, when he had a horrendous offensive year, his head was drifting all over the place. And he just maintains a good, solid posture at the plate and keeps his head still.
Suarez drives one into deep right center field, and that ball continues to carry right on out of here. A two-run big fly by Suarez to make it 4-0 Reds.
Well, what a difference a small little adjustment can make in the way you swing the bat and produce runs. And for Suarez, it really comes back to the same thing that I was talking about with Zach Cozart, keeping your head still. Talking to Don Long during his little slump that he had, he would just move back towards the catcher and then move too far forward. But as you see right now, that head stays perfectly still. He gets his front leg down and just drops the hammer on a low pitch to take it right out of center field.
You know, the other thing, Chris, is getting him back in that #2 spot in the batting order seems to be a pretty good thing for him. Now, you know, it's a small sample size where he was dropped into the middle of the lineup, but at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. He's been great so far in the 2 hole.
Yeah, you're right. But it always begs the question, Tom, you know, is that the reason why, or is the reason why he's in the #2 hole is because he's swinging the bat better? You know, what came first? And I think what you're going to see out of Suarez, you see out of a lot of young players, you see out of all baseball players, but even more so defined in young players, where you're going to have ups and downs. They're going to go into a slump because they can't right themselves, and it lasts a little bit longer than it does out of a veteran player.
You know, Votto here at the plate, and it's already 1 ball and 2 strikes. I want to check in with Jim Day for a minute, because look, our job up here is not to, you know, defend a Reds player, good, bad, or indifferent, but Votto really got raked over the coals by many in the national media, especially on, you know, the television side, Sports Center, some of the other highlight shows for what happened yesterday in Philadelphia. Jim Day, you were right there, and you certainly have something to add to this story because you were the one that brought it up after the game yesterday.
Well, you can interpret faking out the fans of not giving them a foul ball. You can interpret that however you want. That's not what I'm talking about here. It was depicted as him mocking a kid by the dugout and not giving a youngster a ball. And I was right there. There was a gentleman in Philly that was just wearing him and everyone out, including me, with a lot of obscenities, and he went way over the line, did the fan. That is who Joey is mocking right there, if you will. It was not a child, and it was depicted nationally in that way, and it's just flat out wrong.
You know, it just amazes me in this day and age, without really trying to get to the bottom of something, about how things are interpreted frequently in this 24-hour news cycle that we live in. It's not so much the 24-hour news cycle, but people being able to definitively tell you that something happened in a certain way, when in this case it didn't. Fly ball to right, and that is a first out here in the inning.
Well, that's a rarity right there, that you see Votto hitting a fly ball to right field. It's something that he rarely ever does, and I'm wondering if maybe it's beginning to signal the fact that Votto may be trying to pull that ball a little bit more that comes on the inner part of the plate. Although I think that may have been an off-speed pitch. I'd have to see it again. Pitch that Votto hit, yeah, it was a changeup, and Votto just got out in front of it. He doesn't like to pull that ball to right field. You know, sometimes, you know, especially when you're dealing with fans in Philadelphia, I mean, you can't win for trying. Just trying to have a little fun out there, and then the whole thing turns around and blows up on them. But what do? You move on. I mean, if you're not booed by Philadelphia fans, that's bad. That's a bad thing, actually.
Because there's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, that means they don't even notice you. In fact, they booed him yesterday after that first part when he was teasing the fans about giving a ball away. You know, as much as they boo their own players. So he reached a certain level in their eyes.
It's the way they treat Brandon in St. Louis.
Yeah.
He knows all about it. Reds lead 4-0 here in the third. Single runs in the first two-run home run by Suarez here in the third, and now it's Bruce with 2 away and nobody on. Breaking ball in there, a strike. Fastball away. 2-1 to Jay Bruce.
Now, if Cody Anderson looks like a lumberjack, that's because he is. He's from Northern California. His father owns a lumber business, and he used to spend the winters there, obviously working as a lumberjack. And he got so big and so strong that it hurt his flexibility. So the last couple of winters he has spent just outside the Reds and Indians training complex in the Goodyear, Arizona area.
Not a lot of lumberjacks there.
No, there aren't.
Although that is a nickname of NAU, because you get in that part of the state of Arizona, and there are a few lumberjacks running around up in Flagstaff, Arizona. Little roller to the left side that'll easily trickle into left field. So if they put the shift on you, you say take that.
So you ask yourself the question, how many times does Jay Bruce have to do this before they stop shifting him? Now, there are some teams that'll shift more than others. I'm not so sure that the Phillies shifted Jay Bruce significantly over the weekend, but the Indians do, the Pirates do. They'll shift him actually in the middle of the at bat. The Pirates will. But I mean, at some point you got to say, all right, we get your point. We're going to put the shortstop back over where he belongs.
There's Duvall. He homered his last time up to left field, his 7th of the year, which ties, or it tied at the time, Suarez for the team high, until Eugenio hit his 8th here in his 3rd inning. You know, the easiest thing to do, and me having been gone for the last, better part of 2 weeks, and you get a chance to kind of step back from this, Chris, in the old forest for the trees kind of thing. With all the things that might be said about the Reds and their record at 15-22, and you think about what, 9 times they've had a lead in the 7th inning where they've lost a game. I mean, the team collectively, there are a lot of parts of this team that have played quite well. The starting pitching over the last 2 weeks has been much, much better. Now they're not pitching deep into games like you would like to see, but they've been more than competitive with a bunch of guys that aren't even supposed to be in the rotation. And the offense has started to swing the bat much better. But boy, those leads that have gotten away that could have been wins.
Yeah, they can demoralize a team. You know, when you're on the ball club, you hear everything, you read everything. Obviously, these players are reading their phones and their versions of electronic newspapers every day, so they know what's being written about them, and they know that this is a rebuilding year. But that doesn't keep you from wanting to win every game that you take the field on.
2 ball gone swinging. We'll get back to that when we come back. Suarez, a monster game yesterday and off to a good start today. 2-run home run makes it 4-0 Reds after 2.5.
From 700 WLW for the Reds fan cam this Friday night at the Holy Grail. It's a chance to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes, and be a part of Reds Live. The party starts at 6 this Friday at the Holy Grail. John Lamb set for his 3rd inning of work. And Chris Welsh, you were talking about the variances in speed of his pitches, keeping hitters off balance. We might even see the slowest curveball out of him yet. One thing that he discovered when he was coming back from a thumb injury, particularly his first couple of bullpens when he couldn't put much pressure on that thumb, he realized a way that he can throw that curveball at even a slower miles per hour using his thumb less. We'll see if he throws it tonight. It might even be close to an eephus pitch.
I like it. I mean, it's already coming in an average of about 68 miles an hour, 67. That's where they have added up all of his changeups and figured out what his average speed, or his curveballs, and figured out what his average speed is. The other part of it is you can't be afraid to throw it slow. Some pitchers are so dedicated to throwing everything at 100% effort that they never take enough off of it.
Former Red from a season ago, Marlon Byrd bangs one into right field, a base hit. That's a 3rd straight inning. The leadoff man is reached against John Lamb.
Well, Byrd last year when he was with the Reds, 96 games, a .237 batter with 19 home runs, so he supplied some power. keeps himself in very good shape, does Marlon Byrd.
Of course, the 19 home runs by and large came in a very short amount of time. He got off to just a horrible start. I mean, when the Reds really needed Marlon Byrd in April and early May, he just got off to a bad start. And once he got it rolling, he played the way they thought he would play before eventually trading him to the Giants. Slow roller. And Cozart, a nice play. Oh, it got by Votto. It looked like he had it momentarily. And they're on the corners as Byrd advances all the way to third. That's a base hit for Uribe.
Votto is usually pretty good about scooping these if that's what he had to do. Nice play on the run, and yep, just wasn't able to get that one.
That'll be scored an infield hit, and then a throwing error on Cozart, which allows Byrd to go second to third. Strike one to Davis. He singled to center field, leading off the Cleveland first inning. Another base hit by Davis. This one will score Byrd. And the Indians on the board. It's a 4-1 game.
Davis taking that approach to hit the ball the other way. Marlon Byrd did it in this inning. And finding that spot right over the head of the second baseman. That's what smart hitters and experienced hitters, and you know, Byrd is 38, Davis is 35, will do against fastballs that you're trying to go outside with, but you leave up at thigh high. If you get that ball down around the knees, that's a very difficult pitch to elevate into the outfield. But if you provide the elevation, all it takes is a well-disciplined swing to get a base hit to right field.
3 straight hits begin this Cleveland third. And now a bunt by Kipnis. Barehanded. Suarez, a brilliant play to throw him out. Boy, that is an excellent play by Suarez. Give Kipnis a sacrifice. One away in the inning.
You know, I thought when he laid that bunt down that there's no way you're going to get him at first base. Now, Kipnis doesn't run all that well. But he sees an opportunity because Suarez seemingly was giving him some room down there at third base. And that's a strong throw from Suarez to get an out of it. They move the runners up, but still excellent play.
Strike one to Lindor.
They're giving him a sacrifice on that?
They have to.
Yeah.
Quickly 0-2. Runners at second and third with 2 away. And a drive into straightaway center will plate another run. And the ball carries over Peraza's head. It'll bring in 2 runs. And it is a 4-3 game. on the misplay by Peraza.
Well, you might want to say it was a misplay by Peraza. That ball was certainly catchable in center field. And I don't know whether he just misjudged the way that ball was going to carry or lost it, but he's kind of drifting back on it, and it wasn't until too late that he realizes that it was going over his head. With his speed and his athleticism, that's a very easily catchable ball. But, you know, young kid learning a new position.
So all of a sudden 4-0 has become a one-run game, and the tying run in scoring position for Napoli, who struck out his first time up behind strike one here. It is ruled a double for Lindor. 2 runs batted in.
Napoli has been the Indians' best hitter really in the month of May. 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. I mean, the next best hitter in the month of May for the Indians only has 6 runs batted in the month. So he's been right in the middle of a lot of it when they do get their offense going.
Napoli, 34 years old, out of Hollywood, Florida. Broke in originally with Anaheim, was there for 5 years. Went to Texas, 3 in Boston. Back to Texas. Played in the World Series with the Rangers. And there's a strike. In 2012, you may remember he was given a 3-year, $39 million contract with Boston pending a physical. He failed the physical. He had a hip issue. It turned into a 1-year contract for a fraction of the money. Runner goes. And it's a tie game. The 4-run Cleveland third and still only 1 out.
Well, both of the 2 biggest pull hitters in this ballpark tonight, Jay Bruce and Mike Napoli, have hit the ball the other way to get base hits on the ground.
Mark Riggins, the Reds pitching coach, was a very busy man going from the dugout to the mound in Philadelphia yesterday, and it's his first trip tonight.
You just try to settle them down a little bit out there because, you know, John Lamb's probably thinking, hey, with a little better defense, I'd be just about out of this inning, and I probably would be out of the inning. But you can't think about that when you're on the mound. You're in essentially a 0-0 game, even though there's been 8 runs scored. So you start from here and you go forward.
High drive into left center field. Easily playable for Peraza. And that is his second out of the inning, and this will be the 8th man to bat in the 4-run Cleveland third. 2 out. Four runs in this half inning is, I mean, it's a virtual offensive explosion the way things are going for this Cleveland offense. They rank 10th in the league in runs scored, 13th most hits, 14 out of 15 in home runs. they've pitched well enough to be a lot better than a 500 team. But as good as the team we just saw play, Philadelphia, as good as they were in winning those one-run games and the tight games, late in games has been the problem for the Tribe. There's a ground ball to Cozart, and the force play ends the inning. But the Indians come back from 4 down to tie it at 4 as we go to inning number 4 in Cleveland.
Power tool performers. Reds playing long ball so far. Adam Duvall solo home run in the second. Eugenio Suarez home run number 8 of the season for him. A 2-run job in the third. First road game with multiple home runs since September of last season. 22-game drought. That is the longest drought since 1992. In a long time.
That is a long time. So we begin anew. 4-4 latter third for the Reds against Cody Anderson. Reds have scored in each of the front 3 innings. 1, 1, and 2. Pulled foul. Peraza singled his first time up. Peraza in 30 games down at AAA Louisville was a .295 batter. He's 2 for 2 tonight. He had 7 doubles, a triple, a home run, 6 steals. He had 1 hit in 5 at-bats coming into tonight's game, and now perfect 2 of 2.
Well, they get the first hit on a fastball. That pitch came on a curveball, a very rare curveball as far as Cody Anderson's concerned. But boy, he wasn't fooled one bit. Now, the last time he got on base, I had him on a hit and run with Pacheco. I'm wondering if they're just maybe going to allow him to try to steal straight up here.
See the bright sunshine still splashed across the left field line over into right in the right field line. It's a beautiful evening. It was a spectacular day along the lakefront in Cleveland today.
Yeah, they thanked all the Cincinnati people for bringing them warm weather.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was snowing here in Cleveland yesterday morning.
That's pretty nifty play to turn to there by Anderson. And bad luck for Pacheco and the Reds.
It was kind of like a change-up line drive where it really didn't come off the bat. You know, the kind of line drive the pitchers get back and the first instinct is to duck. Anderson just jumped up there and snagged it.
So the bases are empty, 2 away, and here comes Cabrera, popped up to the third baseman. Uribe is only time up. This one very much has the look of yesterday's game with all the hitting going on by both teams. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Reds, 4 runs, 6 hits for the Tribe.
Well, the Reds jumped out to that big lead yesterday and then just kind of held on from there. They did add a couple of runs on later on a Zach Cozart base hit.
And they needed them.
They did. That game seemed like it was teetering a little bit.
Suarez now in back-to-back games with home runs after clubbing the 2-run home run in the 3rd inning here tonight, giving him a team-high 8. And now tied for the team lead, by the way, in runs batted in with 23, tied with Bruce. This should end the inning on the fly ball to Ramirez, and it will. First scoreless inning for Anderson. 4-4 after 3.5.
Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News Best Children's Hospital.
It looks like one of Jim Day's old hangouts down there, down in what was known formerly, and I guess still is known now, Jim Day, as the Cleveland Flats area down there. Wasn't there a time where you were very big down there? Or am I wrong?
I was never big down there, but I got to admit, when I was younger, I frequented it a couple of times.
Yes, sir. An honest man. An honest man. 4-4 game. Jose Ramirez, Marlon Byrd, and Juan Uribe, latter 3rd in the batting order. And this was a group, not necessarily Ramirez. He bounced into a double play to end the 2nd inning, but Byrd and Uribe got things rolling in that 4-run 3rd against John Lamb. Tribe coming back from a 4-0 deficit after the first 2.5. 3-2. That is a fair ball up a third base line. To ball over to cut it off and then drop the ball. Not sure he would have had a play anyway on Ramirez, who runs better than average. In fact, Ramirez runs a lot better than average. He's a guy that's piled up a ton of stolen bases.
Right down the left field. I mean, right down the third baseline. I mean, he just got out ahead of that pitch and smoked it right by Suarez, who was playing fairly close to the line anyway.
Here's Bird. He led off the third inning with a single to right and scored the first of the 4 times against Lamb. So now the Indians with a chance to take the lead. And it was only their last time up. They trailed 4-0. Will not advance the runners, so that is not a productive out in any form or fashion by the veteran Marlon Bird. 1 away in the inning. Here's Uribe. Uribe just turned 37 years old in March. They signed him very late into spring training. A native of the Dominican Republic. He is playing for his 7th major league team. I mean, this was a guy who was a big part of the Chicago White Sox World Series winning team in '05. Caught short of the track by Peraza. Tagging, advancing Ramirez, 2 out.
You don't get credit for a sacrifice fly when the guy goes from second to third, and that's how important it is to move that runner over to third base. Not only do you cost your Uribe an RBI, your team a run. You let the pitcher off the hook, especially when you're looking at a tie ball game. Lamb will take it all day long.
Well, Lamb needs to make a pitch here and get a little confidence back after giving up the 4 runs. And, well, quite honestly, as you pointed out at the time, it shouldn't have been 4 runs. There was the misplay in center by Peraza on that fly ball that was scored a double by Lindor. But 4-4 is all that matters. 2-0. To Davis. Originally a 38th round draft pick. 1,134th pick in a draft was Rajai Davis in 2001 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he draws a 4-pitch walk. He's been on base 30 times, and he came in hitting barely over 200 with an on-base percentage slightly better than that. So now the left-handed batting Kipnis, who's 0 for 1 and has a sacrifice bunt. Breaking ball swung on and missed by Kipnis. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Jason Kipnis likes the month of May. He's having a good month. He's hitting over 300, around 310 almost in the month of May. But nothing like the May that he had last year. I mean, you talk about monster numbers. Hit 429 with 4 home runs and 17 ribbies.
And an on-base percentage of over .511.
Of course, playing up here in Cleveland and then going back to Minnesota because they played a couple of series already with the Twins. It can't be fun here in the month of March,
No.
month of April.
Well, you look at the Indians. They have played by far fewer games than any team in baseball. You know, you have some teams that are getting ready to play their 40th game of the year, 39th game of the year. Indians have played 34 games. They were stunted so many times, as they frequently are, because of Minnesota, Chicago White Sox in their division, playing here, and the dreaded month of April for many of those and many of these northern cities. And the Indians lead for the first time on the single by Kipnis. And look at Davis trying to score all the way from first base. And he is out at the plate. We'll see if Terry Francona is going to request another look at this call at home. I'm not sure Davis ever touched home.
I don't think he ever touched the plate, first of all. He may have dragged his foot across it at the very end there, and Terry Francona's at the top of the dugout, and he's waiting. Oh. Francona's come out, and he's going to ask for a review.
You know, the first thing you always look for, did Cabrera ever tag Davis? It does appear as though he dragged the toe across the plate.
Well, we would have a definitive view if that umpire get out of the way.
Cabrera went back over to tag him after the call had already been made. Which obviously leads you to believe that Cabrera felt he never tagged him.
And Davis went back and put his foot on the plate after he got up. So both players feel like they didn't make the tag, whether it be the player or the plate.
Sure.
So there's a lot to decipher here if you're in New York.
Okay, you know, there's another. This is the look right here. It definitely appears that the right foot drags across the plate, but again, was the tag made by Cabrera before the runner safe? And that appeared to be the correct call. How about the hustle by Davis?
That's a gutsy play. I mean, it really is.
Boy, can he run.
Well, speed has always been his game.
Yep. He can really run. This is on a single to right center field. He never stopped running. Watch this guy run. That's a man 35 years old.
Yeah.
So it was a 4-0 lead for the Reds after 2.5 here tonight in Cleveland. He is now a 6-4 deficit.
Meanwhile, John Lamb simply getting the ball up out over the zone. Not having a good command of his fastball light at all.
And 2 on Lindor, who had a 2-run double over the head of Peraza on what looked like, I'm not going to call it a routine fly ball, but it was a ball that was driven into left or right center field, and it looked like Peraza was there and was ready to make the catch and was unable to do so. And boy, they are hitting and running to perfection early on here tonight.
Now that's a gutsy call by Terry Francona right there. On an 0-2 pitch with 2 outs, you send the runner, and maybe they're betting they're going to get an off-speed pitch of some kind. And that's exactly what he got, and Lindor good enough to be able to slice it the other way. That's a very interesting call. And now the more I think about it, it's a really smart one.
It's 8 hits and 6 runs against Lamb here in the last inning and 2/3. And Mark Riggins coming out to visit as the Reds bullpen gets busy for the first time tonight. Thompson begins to throw.
Well, 8 hits and 2 walks. So I mean, they've had the leadoff hitter on every inning. I don't know if John Lamb has thrown 5 pitches out of the full windup yet tonight.
Waits, and another hit and another Cleveland run. That'll more than likely be it, even with 2 outs in the inning. You have a switch hitting Santana coming up. 7 runs in the last 2 innings for the Tribe. But Lamb will face Santana. Indians 5 of 7 with runners in scoring position here in these last 2 frames. Santana has walked and popped up to short center field. Oh, 2. Hey, Lamb doing a lot of shaking off from his catcher Ramon Cabrera here in the last inning or two.
Yeah, you're seeing the same thing I am, Tom. I'm just wondering if they've been on the same page at all tonight. There's certainly no excuse for having a bad outing if you're not getting along with the catcher behind the plate, because he's not the one throwing the baseball. But it helps a lot when you and the catcher work seamlessly.
2-2 pitch is ball 3. So after getting ahead of Santana 0-2, 3 in a row out of the strike zone from Lamb. John cruising right along through the first 2 innings, even though he allowed leadoff batters to reach on a single in the first, a walk in the second. Suarez, a long throw to end the inning, but the Indians strike for 3. They take their first lead of the night. 7-4, Cleveland in front.
T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball. Carlos Beltran, 4th switch hitter to hit 400 home runs, joining Mickey Mantle, Eddie Murray, and Chipper Jones. Quite the list. And Tim Lincecum, you remember him, close to signing a deal with the Angels reportedly. Coming off of hip surgery last fall, he had a showcase for all the teams, and he's apparently staying out west with the Angels.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very much. Chris Welsh, I have a question for you. You saw the list of switch hitters in the history of baseball. First pitch swinging is Kozar to open the Reds' 5th inning, and he's thrown out by Kipnis. Mantle, naturally Hall of Famer. Murray, naturally Hall of Famer. Chipper Jones, the same. Is Carlos Beltran, in your opinion, a Hall of Fame player?
Well, that's a good question. I would say no. I'd say very close, but no.
You know, sometimes it's always so interesting because, you know, baseball, we know, is the most stat-driven sport. It's really the only sport where, you know, most people who are fans, like if you went up to somebody and said, what's the number for the most career passing yards in the NFL? There are very few people, even hardcore football fans, that would know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
There would be some that couldn't tell you who that player is. That's in a short right, and another hit for Suarez. His 2nd tonight after 3 of them yesterday. In baseball for a long, long time, you said home run king, you said Henry Aaron, you said 714 tied Babe Ruth, 715 broke it, so on and so forth. 56 game hit streak DiMaggio. The point I'm getting at here is ultimately You and I have been announcing games during the entire playing career of Carlos Beltran. Has he always been a talented player? No question. Among the most talented. Has he been one of the top 5 players in his league most years he's played? No, he's not been. But I'll bet you if we were to jump on that computer years and look at his numbers, I'll bet you we'd be blown away at what some of those numbers look like besides just the 400 home runs. I'm guessing that. This ball is hammered into left center field by Votto, and that ball is up against the wall. Throw will come into the shortstop. It's cut off, and Votto with a double. And the Reds trailing by 3. Have runners at second and third with only 1 out in the 5th.
Now that's a little bit more like it for Joey Votto. I mean, that's a spot where he likes to hit it. That's the power that he likes to show going opposite field. They're trying to get the ball in. But you see how that ball drifts out over the plate, very top of the strike zone. He's able to get his bat around on a fastball. And he knew he got it good. Maybe he thought that ball was out of here, but he ends up on second base. A lot of wall ball being played here in Cleveland when you start knocking it into left field.
We've been here so many times through the years, and it's always been a good hitter's park. You wouldn't call it a great hitter's park, but tonight anyway, it really seems to be playing quite small tonight. They'll intentionally walk Phillips to load him up for Jay Bruce. A righty and a lefty getting loose in the Cleveland bullpen, and by walking Bruce to load him up, do they bring in the left-hander Crockett to face Jay Bruce here in the 5th? Well, here comes Terry Francona, and he wants the left-hander Crockett. So his pitcher is 2 outs away from qualifying anyway for a win. Now, granted, he's given up 4 runs in 4 1/3 innings, but he's going to go get it. This is our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Reds down 3, but they've got him loaded for Bruce when we come back.
Authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Some Reds fans making the trek. It's an easy ride. Straight up 71 door to door from Cincinnati into downtown Cleveland, Ohio. 2 games to be played between these franchises starting tonight here. Then Wednesday and Thursday at Great American Ballpark. All right, big chance for Jay Bruce. Indians bring on for the 8th time this year the left-hander Kyle Crockett.
Former Virginia Cavalier, the left-hander, 8th time overall. He's from Newport News, Virginia. You and your dad know that area quite well. 7 games for Crockett, a total of 3 innings pitched. So that comes out of the category of loogies, left only one guy pitcher. When you have that many games pitched and very few innings totaled up. So he's brought in here really just to retire Jay Bruce. And probably pitch to Duvall, or maybe not, maybe not. Maybe it could be a 1 batter appearance for Crockett.
Reds are down 7-4, but they have the bases loaded. 1 out single by Suarez, went to third, and a double by Votto, an intentional walk to Phillips, and here's Crockett to face Jay. 1 of 2 in the game. Singled his last time up into left field.
Well, Crockett has only been on the big league roster for a little over 2 weeks. Spent most of the month of April down playing for the Columbus Clippers.
Foul ball.
Yeah, I'd like to get back, Tom, to that Carlos Beltran conversation. And I always say, you know, I'm not the kind of person you ask about a Hall of Famer and then give you the answer, well, I've got to look at his numbers. I gave you an answer. The answer was no.
And you know, that's why I said I agree with you.
Yeah.
But then I made the point. I'll bet you, though, if we go look at his numbers, we probably both go, wow.
And that's exactly what we did when we looked at his numbers. I mean, they compare very favorably with players that are already in the Hall of Fame. 19 years in the big leagues is in my book, a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so now some voters don't really give that as much credence, I think, as they don't know the difficulty of how hard it is to stay in a big league, to stay in the big leagues for 19 years.
One ball, 2 strikes on Bruce. And a high bouncer. Foul. You're talking about 400 bombs. 1,400 ribbies, over 500 doubles. Multiple Gold Glove awards.
8 times in the All-Star game.
And how many stolen bases did you say?
300.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. He's one of only, well, less than a handful of players ever in the history of the game with over 400 homers and over 300 steals.
Well, the thing that I really am impressed with as you look at the numbers on Beltran is the number of times that he had a season where he walked almost as many times as he struck out.
It's so Ted Kluszewski-esque.
Yeah, I mean, he's not an easy guy to whiff. He ended up with 1,600 strikeouts and right around 1,000 walks. Of course, those were back in the days when it was embarrassing to strike out.
Popped up behind the plate and out of play. Reds looking for a big base hit here by Jay Bruce. They're down by 3 and they have him loaded with 1 out. Short left field. This might have a chance, and it will fall in a hit. 2 runs are going to score. It's a second hit tonight for Bruce. Both of them to left field. Boy, he is fired up over there at first base. And it's a 1-run game.
Well, Jay Bruce on twice tonight. He was on base 5 times yesterday, and he hasn't hit the ball hard yet. But he has had perfect placement once to the left side of the infield on a shift defense, and that time he drops it in with a little 64-degree sandwich.
So it was indeed one batter for Crockett. He'll be lifted after giving up the bloop 2-run single to Jay Bruce. Our right-hander will come on to face Adam Duvall. We're back in a moment.
Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. It also includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. I have the app. It rocks. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Jim Day, did you just say it rocks here in the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It rocks.
I got you.
Rock and roll.
Okay, fair enough. It's interesting as Tommy Hunter takes over on the mound. It is a 1-run ball game, and Adam Duvall, the batter, with a tying run at second, the go-ahead run at first, and 1 out. In the Cleveland Indians game notes, they have listed every day a reference to born on this day, died on this day, or this day in music every day.
And today,
this is a double play ball here, which will end the inning. So Hunter does his job. You'll be happy to know, Chris Welsh, that born on this day in 1919, one of your favorites on the iPod, the great Liberace.
Wednesday on an all-new Reds Weekly. Tim Adelman, that guy right there. It's been a pleasant surprise for the Reds. For the first time at GABP, ball girls are patrolling foul territory. Plus, take a trip down memory lane with Johnny Bench and Terry Francona, a story that Johnny did with Terry in 1987. Join Jeff Pecoro and Doug Flynn Wednesday night at 6 for Reds Weekly right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
You know, Jim Day, you were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or made reference to "We're Rockin' and Rollin'." This day in music history, Chris Welsh, you'll remember this because this was not far off your heyday, maybe a little before your heyday. Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde album and the Beach Boys' very, very famous album, Pet Sounds, were both released on this day, 1966.
Wow.
So there you go. Little rock and roll trivia today, thanks to our friends in Cleveland. Lane Thompson takes over on the mound. Second game just pitched over the weekend for the first time, coming up in Philadelphia.
He came up through the Reds organization too. He was drafted 22nd round in 2013. Reds got him out of South Dakota State.
Short center, it'll fall in a hit.
It's a good night to be swinging the bat. I mean, we've seen a number of those fall in. We've also seen a lot of hard hit balls too. Gomes could really use one of those.
John Lamb goes 4 innings, allows 10 hits, 7 runs, all earned. Walked 2, struck out 1, and there's a base hit into right by Ramirez. Ramirez 2 for 3 tonight. Boy, and the hits for both teams just keep on coming. Cleveland with 12, the Reds with 10, and we are in the 5th inning.
And both teams have done what the managers wish that they had not done, which is get into their bullpens early.
So now Marlon Byrd, 1 of 2 in a game. Strike 1. Thompson gets ahead of Bird at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reds bullpen comes into tonight's game having pitched a whopping 133 innings already this year. They've allowed 91 earned runs. That is an ERA north of 6. This young man right here, Thompson, has had nothing to do with any of those numbers. Pitching in just his second game, has not allowed a run.
Really an interesting note on Thompson. You can look up pretty much anything as far as baseball statistics on the internet now. And if there's a way to find what they call pitch FX information, which is an electronic system where every ballpark has installed, where they can tell what pitch you're throwing, how fast it's going, the spin, and just about everything you want. Whether you throw a 4-seam fastball or a 2-seam. And that was a nice one right there, a cutter that he threw to Marlon Byrd. Well, if you look up Lane Thompson, they don't have him down for throwing a fastball, period. All he throws is a cutter and a curve. And a little frame job there by Cabrera helped him get that caught looking.
Well, I'm curious of your opinion on this, Chris. I know obviously it is not the quintessential definition of a fastball when you're talking about a cutter, but it is a fastball, right?
It's a variation of a fastball. It's one that you hold off the side of your hand a little bit just to make it simple to describe. And when you throw it a little bit more like a slider motion than you would just a regular fastball. Good ones are very deceptive to the hitter. Mariano Rivera is the pitcher that comes to mind when you're talking about cutters. Some guys naturally throw them when they pitch. It just happens just to come. If you're right-hander, the cutter will go about halfway to the plate and all of a sudden start drifting in on left-handers and away from right-handers, without all the spin that gives away a slider or a curveball.
That's where Mariano Rivera would chew up left-handed batters. In fact, you go back to that single by Luis Gonzalez in Game 7 to beat Rivera and the Yankees. That was on a cutter. He shattered his bat and just flared it into left field. This is out number 2 in the inning.
Well, why didn't you ask me about him in the Hall of Fame? Why a tough one like Beltran?
Do you like Mariano's chances?
I like his chances. I'll go out on a limb.
Yeah, you really are. Never been afraid of that.
He's one good pitch away from getting out of this inning after giving up back-to-back hits to start the inning.
Standing in his way, the 35-year-old Rajai Davis. As we saw earlier, he might be in his mid-30s, but he has not lost any of that blinding speed, scoring all the way from first on really a routine single into right center field off the bat of Kipnis in the 4th inning. He just never stopped running. Lane wanted that call, didn't get it. Two balls and a strike to Davis. We brought up earlier, not only was Davis a 38th round draft choice, 1,133 players chosen before he was in 2001. He spent 6 years in the minor leagues before he ever got to the big leagues. So, I mean, you talk about a long shot. Finally made his major league debut in 2006 with the Pirates. 3-2. We'll do it again. 3-2 the count on Davis. Reds trailed by a run here in the last of the 5th inning. 2 outs, 3-2 pitch. And he walked him.
That's a heck of an at bat.
Yep. Really makes you wonder what's gotten into Davis here tonight. This must be his day. I mean, he has been having a brutal offensive season.
Well, he had a great month of April, but he has just fallen right off the cliff here in the month of May.
On base percentage coming in at 24%, batting average at .210. He's been on base 4 times, scored 2, knocked in a run, 2 hits.
That's what a 105 batting average in May will do to you. Well, Mark Riggins is leaving some tracks between that dugout and the pitcher's mound. He's been out there several times to see John Lamb, and just finished the visit with Thompson.
Bases loaded for Kipnis. 1 of 2. And a 2-run single in the 3-run Cleveland 4th inning. Gomes at 3rd, Ramirez at 2nd, and Davis on at 1st with 2 out. Oh, and 2. Got him swinging to end the inning. Good work by Lane Thompson. Pitches out of a bases loaded jam. We're on our way to the 6th. A 1-run Cleveland lead.
Through Sunday, thanks to Reach Magazine, you can catch all the action and save with the 4 for $48 ticket offer. Get 4 view-level tickets and 4 Reds hats for only $48. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com.
All right, we got a wild one going on here tonight. 7-6. Cleveland in front, and that's only through 5 innings of baseball. Tommy Hunter came on to get a big double play off the bat of Adam Duvall, ending the 2-run 5th. So a clean start to the 6th, and it's Jose Peraza, ball 1. Peraza 2 of 2, a pair of singles on the night. Peraza single to center, a single to left. And now a fly ball to right, which is caught. Out number 1. Talked about the Indians a year ago. 1 game over 500. 4.5 games in back of the second wild card spot. Their pitching was sensational. 4th lowest ERA among all starting rotations in baseball. And the bullpen ERA was 2nd best in the American League. But you may remember, Sports Illustrated picked the Indians to win the World Series prior to the start of last year. That was based on a 2014 season where they had won 85, lost 77. They have had 3 consecutive winning seasons for the first time since those, really the tail end of those outstanding Indians teams that never won a World Series. Nice play at third by Uribe, 2 out. Last time the Indians had 3 in a row winning years, 99, 2000, and 01.
Now, Uribe has been a pretty dependable player for a long time. He may not have the range that he once had, but he didn't need any right there. He just needed to block it and come up throwing. Well, the Indians' calling card, we talked about it a little bit earlier, Tom, is their starting pitching. Now, there are only 3 ball clubs that are better than the Indians as starters this year. And they would be who you would think they would be: the Cubs, the Nationals, and the New York Mets. So when you're in that kind of rarefied company as far as starting rotation goes, it gives you a chance to stay in a ball game. And that's what Terry Francona is thinking. If we get any kind of offense at all in the division that they're in, they can sneak right in there.
Uribe picking and grinning in back-to-back bounces here in the 6th. A 1-2-3 inning. That's rare tonight.
Badge. It's your pass to kick off the summer. Don't miss the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide, May 30th through June 5th. Purchase your tickets at memorialbadges.com. And Westerville, Ohio native Jason Day, a big win yesterday in the Players Championship, will be playing it now his home course. And I covered that tournament for many, many years. And I tell you, outside of the Masters, it's the most well-run tournament at Jack's course.
That's incredible. It's an incredible tournament. Now I don't have a schedule in front of me. Where are the Reds there? I know that that weekend, is that the weekend they are in Milwaukee, or is that the next weekend? I think it is while the Reds are in Colorado that starts off, but the weekend the Reds are back home. Colorado's a Monday through Thursday series, and then they come back home. Lindor, a bouncer right at Brandon Phillips, and that's the way we begin the bottom of the 6th inning, with the Indians leading the Reds 7-6. 13 runs, 22 hits, and the teams have left a combined 10 runners on base. Thompson is 2nd inning out of the Reds bullpen, behind 4 innings from John Lamb, the starter, in 7 earned runs.
Now, Lane Thompson has a nice overhand curveball, and he stays fairly stubborn with it, meaning he throws it a fair amount. There aren't all that many pitchers up there that throw really only 2 pitches. Unless one of them is just an overpowering fastball.
Well, Chris mentioned earlier what a good month of May it has been for Napoli, and he's continued that here tonight on this May the 16th. He has 2 hits and 3 at-bats, has knocked in 2 runs.
He's always been a guy for me that I think that very tough to get inside on. That when you try to get in there and you miss, you better miss way in off the plate. And he misses there for ball 4.
Now Carlos Santana. 1 on, 1 out, 1 run, Cleveland lead. Strike 1.
Yeah, we mentioned Tim Lincecum earlier, I think, as being close to signing with the Angels. You know, if you look at Lane Thompson's delivery a little bit, he reminds you a little bit of Lincecum. The way he kind of cranes his neck a little bit. I mean, it's not identical by any means. I don't know if anybody could replicate what Lincecum does. But that straight over the top motion. Another shot of it. Kind of arches his back a little bit.
The only bullpen in the National League that has had to gobble up more innings than this Reds bullpen is a team that I think when the season began, you figured you'd never see their bullpen, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. They brought in Zach Greinke, they brought in Shelby Miller. By and large, both have been an unmitigated disaster so far. Long way to go. There's another base hit by Santana. They had Robbie Ray in that rotation, De La Rosa in that rotation. Diamondbacks have thrown 12 more innings out of their bullpen than the Reds, but a big difference. The ERA is a little more than half the Reds' ERA. 2 on, 2 out.
Gomes just doesn't look to me like he's getting loaded with his hands. I mean, he kind of gets his hands very close to his back shoulder, and it seems like he's late, getting ready for the ball to come in there. It just looks to me like he's just not swinging naturally. Sometimes you get a guy up there and he's trying to do so much, being coached so much, that you kind of get out of the natural idea of seeing the ball and hitting the ball.
In the air, a long ways into right center.
That looked pretty natural.
It found the stroke.
I guess I should stop talking about hitting. But you compare the swing that he just took to the previous swing when he chased a low outside breaking ball. If you get a ball up out over the plate with not a whole lot on it. Here's the previous pitch. And he just kind of fishes for a good curveball in the outer part of the plate. Thompson wants to go and get a pitch out there again, but a fastball, and it runs right back out to the center of the plate on an 0-2 count and gave up an opposite field 3-run homer.
This ball is flying in this ballpark tonight. I don't know what it is. We have been here for a lot of games, and in the summer months where the ball tends to travel better. But I mean, it is really flying out of here tonight. Lead back to 4 for Cleveland. Gomes is now homered in 3 of the last 4 games he started. And actually, he did not start the game yesterday, so he's officially homered in 3 straight games. It's 3 of the 4 overall for Cleveland, but 3 in a row for the first time in the career for Yan Gomes. Two and 2 on Jose Ramirez, who has 2 hits and 3 at-bats. He's doubled, singled, and scored a run.
Thompson, one of those pitchers that had Tommy John surgery going all the way back to his days in college. He was drafted in 2013, had TJ surgery in 2011. He was still able to come back and lead South Dakota State to the NCAA tournament.
The more and more you watch a team, I don't know how you not feel bad for Brian Price. I mean, it really seems as if no matter who they bring in from the bullpen, it's one thing to get hit. It's another thing to be issuing all the walks.
Second walk in the inning.
Yep, 3rd since he came in a game. An inning and a 3rd, 3 walks. When the Reds activated Billy Hamilton off the bereavement list before the game tonight, they sent Drew Hayes back to the minor leagues. Hayes was scored upon in 5 of the 6 games he pitched after being brought up to the Reds. Ball one to Marlon Boone.
Well, you're right about Bird, and the contributions that he gave to the Reds last year were where he was really hot or cold. He had a bad month of April. He hit 8 home runs in the month of May. And when it got towards the later part of the year, he got very cold all over again.
And there was a very ugly incident you may remember just before. In fact, it was the day before he was traded as they nearly picked off the runner at first, where Bird got into a screaming match with Brian Price and some of the Reds coaches in the dugout. Put himself into a game walking out from the dugout into the on-deck circle. It had been simmering, it appeared, for quite some time. Not saying who's right or who's wrong. We don't know. But he was traded the next day.
Well, you remember that he had a clause in his contract last year that if he reached a certain number of plate appearances, he would automatically lock in a clause for big amount of money, like $8 or $9 million. And he was getting very close to that. And he probably knew in his head how many appearances he needed in order to get to that.
And he was going to have to play every day because he was on the DL early.
Right. And then when Billy Hamilton went down with a shoulder injury, he figured he was going to be the center fielder. And when he didn't start and get those plate appearances, that's when it started to go south. And when the Giants got him, well,
he can do this to you.
Yes, he can.
That's a 2-run big fly for Marlon Boone.
Now, he had 19 of them for the Reds last year. And that will be all for Lane Thompson.
He goes an inning and a third. He walks 3. Gives up 5 earned runs. It's 12-6 Indians. We're back in a moment.
all set in honor of Play Ball Weekend. See your Reds take on the Mariners for as low as $12. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com.
A 5-run Cleveland 6th inning to take what was a 1-run lead now to a 6-run advantage. And now Caleb Cotham will take over for Thompson out of the Reds bullpen.
Only one out of the inning.
Here's Uribe. And it's ball 1 away. Told you Uribe just turned 37 from the Dominican Republic, now on his 7th major league team. He has always been a very, very popular player inside of whatever clubhouse where he plays. I remember one year, I think it was 2014, at the end of the year, he's playing for the Dodgers. Don Mattingly let Uribe manage the team the last game of the season. So highly respected and thought of by all in the organization. So now the batter Davis, who's had a perfect night. We're in the 6th inning and he's to the plate for the 5th time, successfully reaching in each of the prior 4. 2 hits, 2 walks, an RBI, 2 runs scored.
You know, Cotham really hasn't pitched all that badly.
You're right.
The earned run average we showed you at 6.1, it was just completely blown up. That's the problem with a small sample size. He pitched at a game against the Brewers where he did not retire a batter, and he gave up 5 runs, and that'll blow you up for a long time. If you're a reliever, you're going to work the rest of the year to try to get that under control. The one bad part, though, is the 9 walks in 17 innings, and that is kind of a consistent deficiency that the Reds bullpen has in common among almost everybody. That's a quick inning for him.
Well, he retires the final 2, and we're off to the 7th. Indians lead 12-6.
Game summary. Reds race out to a 4-0 lead. Adam Duvall solo home run in the 2nd. Eugenio Suarez goes yard. Then the Indians bats woke up after this 2-run shot by Suarez in the 3rd. Long balls by Gomes, 3-run job. Former Red Marlon Byrd, 2-run home run. And the Indians put a 5 spot on the board in the 6th. Only the second time this season they have scored 5 runs in an inning and turned this game into a 12-6 rout.
Well, Reds still have 3 more cracks at him, and we'll see if they can do some damage against the new Indians pitcher. He is the 4th they have used tonight. They got very good work out of Hunter. Excellent work. They got 5 outs facing 4 batters, including a bases loaded jam in the 5th. Here's McAllister, a one-time promising starter. It's hard to believe he is still only 28 years old. He initially came up all the way back in 2011.
Well, he went through 3 seasons there where he was a starter. Started 22, 23, 24 games a year for the Indians. Big, tall right-hander, 6 feet 6 inches tall.
I mean, it was 2013. He went 9-9 with an ERA in the 3s for the Indians. Starting 24 times, but things did not go well last year, and they moved him full-time to the bullpen, where he found a nice niche for himself down there. 4-4 record, and as you mentioned, that 3 ERA, 61 games. Top of the order for the Reds: Cozart, Suarez, Votto. 2-1.
He's done that to a lot of people over the years. McAllister has. He usually has almost a strikeout an inning. He does this year out of the bullpen, but even as a starter, he was close to that.
Jam shot pop up. The shortstop will run this one down to begin the 7th inning. 1 out.
You know, the tough thing about getting down in a ball game early is that bullpens are really divided into 2 types of pitchers. Pitchers that pitch in games in which you're winning, and pitchers that pitch in games in which you're losing. So when you're losing, you want to eat up some innings. You go to a guy, and oftentimes that pitcher will give up a run or 2. So the deficit that you had all of a sudden just grows more and more. So the more the deficit grows, the more you bring in another pitcher that you have on the losing side. I mean, that's just the way that's the way it works.
Yep.
But when you're winning, like Terry Francona is now suddenly in this ball game, you're going to start using some arms that aren't mop-up arms. These are guys that you want to secure the win with, and that's why it's difficult sometimes to come back late in games.
And it's why at the end of the day the numbers just don't simply lie. I mean, the numbers are staggering across the board. Good teams, bad teams are staggering across the board. And they're listed in the notes every day of a team's record when you're leading in the 7th, leading in the 8th, leading in the 9th, trailing, conversely, in those innings.
And that's why I always thought that when you're evaluating free agent pitchers out there, you know, of course you want to get scout's eyes on them. You want to get the numbers and all the pitch FX information. But it's always interesting to note how many games in which that pitcher pitched in which the team won, and how many games he pitched in which the team lost. Because then you can get a really good idea of how he's being used and under what type of pressure. When you're pitching in a ball game and you're 6 runs down, there's not a whole lot of pressure on you.
That was one of the knocks that you know, the Red Sox had about Burke Badenhop a year ago. Was his overall numbers look great, and many wondered, well, why did they not bring him back? And you know, the word kind of leaked out that some of the Boston organization said, look, we saw him every day and realized the kinds of games that he was pitching in and when he was pitching in them. So
if you take that type of pitcher, and I'm not
picking
I'm
on
not
me,
picking
Tom,
on
but
you,
but I mean, if you take that type of pitcher and you take him out of that comfort zone of pitching in the games in which you're losing, and all of a sudden you're putting him in high leverage situations, you may not get the same performance.
Sure. It's been another really good night for this young man. The Eugenio Suarez bounced out his first time up, hit a 2-run home run in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 5th. That's good old country hardball right there at 95 miles per hour.
Oh, he can do that to you, McAllister. I mean, when you're 6'6", you're also a little closer to home plate when you release the baseball. So that 95 may be an effective 97.
McAllister grew up in Illinois, born in Chillicothe, Illinois. Auto down a strike. His father is a major league scout for the Diamondbacks, Steve McAllister. Joey Votto, 1 of 2, has scored a pair of runs. He's walked and doubled. Reds had a 4-0 lead in this game after 2.5. The Indians tied it with 4 runs in the 3rd, breaking the tie in the 4th with 3. Reds drew within a run. 7-6, scoring twice in the 5th. But then the 5-run explosion for the Indians in the bottom of the 6th, and that's where we stand at 12-6. One and 2 on Votto. Straight away center field. This should end the inning. And the Reds are gone in order. They stand and stretch in Cleveland. Indians lead 12-6.
Reds action 30 minutes before each game. It's Reds Live, the pregame edition. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. First look at the lineups, features, interviews, and more. It's Reds Live, the pregame edition. And tomorrow night, righty versus righty. The big pasta Alfredo Simon climbs the hill. He'll go against Danny Salazar. Please note the earlier start time, just like tonight, 5:30 for Reds Live. The game to follow here on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tell you what, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I made reference to it, Chris, and you and I have discussed it on the air that, that when I was out with the Diamondbacks, they started their games in April and May at 6:40 until school got out. Well, the Indians are doing the same thing in April and May with these 6:10 starts.
Well, I guess the idea behind that is if you get a certain number of people that are working downtown in Cleveland.
Sure.
This is not a town with a lot of downtown residents. And they thought, well, while you're down here working, why don't you just leave work and come to the ball game?
I think it's a great idea.
And they experimented with it a few times last year. They liked the success that they had. That's why they scheduled a lot of weekday games here early in the year that way. I mean, if you do that though in the month of June,
you can't do it.
Then you're gonna, it'll still be bright sunshine by the time these games will be finished.
Right. When you're a regional franchise, much like the Reds are, the argument can be made that, hey, look, we've got people driving in from fill in the blank, Lexington, Louisville, Dayton, Columbus, wherever, Parkersburg, Charleston, Nashville.
Sounds like caravan stops.
Exactly. And so you understand that, okay, in the summer months, there's another base hit by Lindor, and then 2 on to begin the Cleveland 7th inning, already leading by 6 runs.
He's got 3 of them.
But during the week in April and May, a regional franchise, more than likely, you figure, logic would tell you, there aren't a lot of people that have to get up the next morning to live in Lexington and Louisville that are driving in for a Tuesday night game in Cincinnati in April or May, and their kids got to go to school the next day. And that's the thinking behind what the Indians are doing, and with the population decrease in this city through the last number of years, they are much more of a regional franchise than they once were. Breaking ball down and away. I mean, they're trying to bring them in here from Akron and Canton and Columbus, Lima, the northern half of the state in their strike. Where the Reds have a tremendous advantage, and that sign right there, you may remember, was when during the heyday of the Indians, and I'm saying their most recent heyday, when they had those monster teams through the 90s and the early part of 2000. They sold out 455 consecutive games.
Yeah, they have that ongoing competition with Coors Field. So who would have the longest sellout streak? I'm not sure how that ended, but they both were wildly successful.
I believe the Indians won that thing, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but it was the longest consecutive sellout streak in professional baseball until, of course, the franchise in Dayton, Ohio. And I'm not sure anyone will ever touch that record by the Dayton Dragons, which continues on even to this day. The Portland Trailblazers held that professional sports record for sellouts in consecutive games before the Dragons in 11 broken with 815 in a row. Well, there's ball 4, and they are loaded with nobody out. For those of you wondering, just to finish up the thought, going into this season, the Dayton Dragons had sold out every single game in the franchise's 15-year existence. 1,121 straight sold-out games before the 2016 season began.
Wow.
That is incredible. A record never to be broken. Until tomorrow when they play again. One ball and one strike. Hammered into right center field, but this one will die at the track. Sac fly RBI by Santana. The other two runners advance as well, and that makes it 13-6 ball. When it left the bat, and looked like that had grand slam written all over it.
It got a lot of people excited. In fact, just about everybody in this ballpark jumped to their feet.
Runs, 17 hits for the Indians, 6 runs and 10 hits for the Redlegs. Reds are going to bring in the infield to cut down that 14th run. And the batter is Gomes, who hit a 3-run home run to right center field his last time up on an 0-2 pitch. Good pitch right there. Good location on that fastball by Copper. 1-2.
Well, the Reds have given up 13 runs to the Milwaukee Brewers one night. They gave up 14 to the Cardinals, and of course the 16 zip shellacking against the Cubs and Jake Arrieta.
That's in the air to left. Backing up is Duvall. Tagging and scoring. From third base is Lindor. It's a sac fly RBI for Gomes, who's knocked in 4 tonight. And that makes it 14-6 Indians. You know, that's a perfect example of something we talk about. Whenever we see a bases loaded situation with nobody out, at the very minimum, you should score 2 runs at the very minimum in an inning with the bases loaded, nobody out, without even getting a hit. And that's exactly what we've seen. Fly ball, sac fly. Not only scores a run from third, but the other 2 runners move up. Then another sac fly, and you have your 2 runs. And that's what they've done since single walk started the inning. Now, obviously, the guy on the mound has a lot to say about that. You're not going to do that against Arrieta the way you might against some other pitcher. Two and one to Jose Ramirez, who bounced into a double play his first time up. He has since doubled, scored, singled, walked, scored again.
Well, you know, I'm always going to check you. Call me your personal fact checker, and you're right.
You are.
So when you get bases loaded and nobody out, the actual calculation of the RE24 is 2.28. So you're right on schedule.
That would be the first time where there's any connection of me having the word right and anything mathematical in the same thought.
Well,
thank you. You've made my day. Nice play by Brandon. Boy, that's a good play. That saves a run. Indians get a pair. We go to the 8th. 14-6. Cleveland in front. Pecoro. Look forward to catching up with you guys. Reds Live right after the conclusion of this one tonight from Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. Changes for the Indians on defense, and there are lots of them. Naquin takes over in center field for Davis, and Davis will move over and play left field. The night is over for Ramirez. Changes in the middle infield. We'll tell you about those here in a minute. So the night was over for Ramirez. That's as an outfielder, because this jack of all trades has a double play made in Michael Martinez. And Ramirez is now at shortstop. Brandon, a bouncing ball handled by Martinez. Really sloppy all the way around.
Sure was.
Really sloppy. Had all the time in the world to plant his feet, make a good throw. But a lot of styling going on.
That's about all it is right there.
Indians also have a new pitcher. It is Dan Otero.
He's a right-hander, been around a while. Dan Otero originally came up with the San Francisco Giants, spent a few years with Oakland, and now the Cleveland Indians. Actually, he was selected by the Philadelphia Phillies first from the Oakland A's on waivers, and then in a cash deal, the Indians bought his contract from Philadelphia.
And 2-1 Jay Bruce. Jay's had a nice game tonight. 2 out of 3. Had a 2-run single, and that was a big one in the 5th inning. That brought the Reds at the time within a run. When the Reds scored those 2 in the 5th, it was 7-6. And all 3 times he's hit the ball to the left side. Unfortunately for him, right at the third baseman who starts that double play. That goes 5-6-3. You don't see many of those. You'll start to see more, though, with all the shifting going on. Strike 1 on Adam Duvall. Adam 1 of 3. Got a solo home run to make it 2-0 Reds way back when in the 2nd inning. He has since struck out and bounced into a double play in the 5th. Tell you what, these season numbers for Duvall are pretty good. He's hit nearly 290. He has 7 home runs, has 15 driven in, has 12 doubles. And his defense has been outstanding in left field. He has had a nice year.
And I just think it's going to get better. I mean, not that he's never going to go into a slump and scuffle a little bit, but I mean, he's got a very compact swing. There's not a lot of moving parts. He's tried to keep it simple. He's really bought into the idea that Don Long has tried to coach him, which is use the entire field, especially back through the middle. And he gets fooled on that one.
Yeah, must have been guessing right there. Looked at one right down the middle to end the inning. certainly the story in baseball yesterday was what transpired right here between the Rangers and Toronto. Many believing it dates back to the bat flip by that man sliding Bautista. And then this punch by Odor. Wow.
Well, I don't like seeing these fights, to be honest with you. And I know that, you know, the old school baseball people will say, well, you know, let the boys handle it themselves. You know, if you don't like something that I did, then you can knock me down or you can throw at me or whatever. But I think baseball's got to get past that. I really do. And that's why they've instituted the rules to protect catchers, to protect middle infielders. A lot of people don't agree with those. They think it's a too gentle way of playing the game of baseball. But I don't think a fight like that adds anything to it, except to show you that these guys really care. I mean, that there are a lot of emotions going in a big league game. In some games you watch, you can tell there's not much emotion going on. So it's nice to know when two teams are teeing it up that they really want to win. That's the one message you do want to see. I just don't like the fisticuffs.
Well, you know, I think the big problem from the very start of that whole episode in that particular half inning was the fact that the Rangers and the Blue Jays had played their 2-season series already this year. As Marlon Bird hooks one into left field. If you were upset about Batista's bat flip going back to the playoffs a season ago, you know, the Blue Jays manager John Gibbons said it best. He said, in my opinion, it's just straight bush league. He said, you know, you had 7 games if you wanted to hit him. You had 7 games to do it. And you wait till the guy's final at bat in the final game that you're going to play him this year. And so, you know, you start with that, and you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, I was just stunned how many longtime baseball writers, smart guys that have been around for a long time, that wrote columns today suggesting that that kind of thing is good for baseball. I just don't see it.
No, I don't see it either. You know, the guys involved have had histories, though. Odor has had a history in the minor leagues. He was suspended for 4 games for a fight that he incited there.
Yep.
And this year alone, Batista has already committed 2 illegal slides under the new Chase Utley slide rule.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, and if you get hit by the opposing pitcher, I mean, is the way to get back at that pitcher or that team taking out their shortstop? You know, so it's, you know, I think you got it. Baseball has to change with the times, and that's the one thing that Bryce Harper, you know, came out and said. A lot of people jumped all over him there. That it's a boring game, and that why not celebrate a home run with a bat flip? Well, I say the same thing. Why not? I mean, I don't think you're as much showing up the other pitcher as much as you're celebrating your own home run.
Well, especially that home run at that particular point in time by Bautista. Now, look, if your team's down 9-0 in a game and you hit 9 miles and you're standing there and you flip the bat, I get it. Okay, you know, maybe this is not the big leagues, but that game last year, they had not won a postseason series in Toronto in 22 years. The guy comes up and late in the ball game hammers one of the seats. The place goes crazy. He flips a bat. So what?
And if they were really all that upset about it, why didn't Sam Dyson do the beating? He's the one that gave up the home run and the bat flip.
You asked a guy to do it that wasn't even on the team last year.
Right. I do like emotions in baseball.
Sure.
I want to see guys show that they really want to win. But you can do that by playing hard.
In the air to right, and J.C. Ramirez has retired 2 in a row, coming on from the Reds bullpen after allowing a single to Bird to begin the inning. Indians leading 14-6. here in the bottom of the 8th. Down the left field line, first at bat for Michael Martinez. That is a fair ball, and Duvall went to get it, rolled right under his glove. Bird will score 15-6. That should not have been a run. And they are scoring it. A double and an error allowing the run to score.
Pretty good bit of hitting right here by Martinez. I mean, he stays right behind that ball, but again, it was J.C. Ramirez who gave him the elevation on that pitch.
No RBI for Martinez. The error charged to Duvall, allowing the run to score. So now Naquin bats for the first time in the game. There's a tapper to the right side. Votto will glove, feed the pitcher, inning over. Indians tack on a run. They've scored the last 3 innings of this game and lead 15-6. We're off to the 9th.
Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Be a part of Super Saturdays this season at the ballpark for as low as $12. This Saturday, $25,000. The first of you through the turnstiles will get a Ken Griffey Jr. dual bobblehead thanks to St. Elizabeth Healthcare. Tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com.
Reds will bat in the 9th inning. Otero still on the mound trying to nail down the final 3 outs in a 15-6 game. Reds led this game at one time 4-0 after 2.5 innings. Indians tied it with a 4-run third, took the lead for good with a 3-run fourth. Reds pulled within a run with a 2-run fifth. But 8 runs over their last 3 at-bats for the Tribe against the trio of Sampson, Cotham, and an unearned run against Ramirez. It was John Lamb, whoever was the Red starter, who was given that 4-0 lead, and he gave up the next 7. Martinez, oh my, what a play. Took away a 3rd hit for Jose Peraza.
Boy, he went a long way to make this play and had something on it. I think he was probably embarrassed by the play that he made last inning that turned into an error, and makes a dandy one right here. That's a guy that can boot scoot it down the line pretty good too.
Now Jordan Pacheco, 3 at-bats, 3 outs. Grounded to 3rd. Lined softly to the pitcher for a double play in the 4th, and then bounced to 3rd hard his last time up. Jimenez takes over behind the plate for Gomes' final inning. And this one scoots under the glove of Martinez. Base hit for Pacheco.
Boy, hard to figure out.
Ramon Cabrera is 0 for 3. It's popped up twice, once to 3rd, the other to short left, and then grounded out to Uribe, the 3rd baseman. Base hit right field. So now coming off the Reds bench, we'll get our first look at Billy Hamilton. Brian Price trying to give Billy an AB. Jim Day reporting earlier that Brian Price just wanted to let Billy settle in after returning from the bereavement list. Missed all 3 games in Philadelphia. Was in Mississippi attending the funeral of his 3-year-old nephew K.C. Cole. Very sad, sad story.
Sure is.
A little boy dying in an automobile accident. You know, quietly, Hamilton is really starting to swing the bat much, much better than at any point, really, since You know, June, that first year he came to the major leagues on a full-time basis. Remember, he had the incredible June. And then the wheels fell off in the second half of that year. And things never really got going at all for Billy last year, injured albeit. But you know, you go back to the end of April, and so far here this month, he has been a .324 batter, 3 doubles, a triple. Here's a slow roller to the right side. They'll get one. That'll be all. And the Reds are down to their final out. You know, Billy gave a lot of credit to Joey Votto, along with Don Long, for spending extra time with him in the batting cage and telling him, look, I think you can be a good left-handed batter, despite what everybody else might think.
You know, and a lot of that has to do with confidence. The other part of it, and we've talked about this a fair amount, is I think you're beginning to see a healthy Billy Hamilton. I mean, you forget that he had shoulder surgery over the winter. You forget also that he had a strained thumb that he probably played in games in which he shouldn't have played, just based on how his hands felt.
Well, here's Suarez, a chance to make it back-to-back 3-hit games. He's 2 of 4 tonight. Popped up, foul ground, and out of play. I want to thank our producer of Reds Baseball, Mr. Josh Hall. Our director is Brian Hunterman. Associate producers Matt Sigafus and Lauren White. Jesse Jackson has even made the trip the northern end of the Buckeye State. Again, fouled off, out of play to the first base side. 0-2 on Suarez. It's nice to be back with you. It's been a while.
Sure is, Tom. I'm glad to have you in the seat up here.
And I want to certainly thank Jim Day, Jim Kelch. Obviously, George was part of the mix from the get-go. But it's nice to be back, even in a game where the Reds were down 15-6. Boy, you miss it like crazy and realize how blessed and fortunate you are to call it work when it's really not. But the Indians work over the Reds in a first of 4 for the Ohio Cup. They come back from 4-0 down to win by a final score of 15-6. We'll be back with more in a moment.